Hi, minasan konnichiwa, Navin desu. Hello, everybody. This is Navin, and in today's video, here are 5 tips to effectively learn Japanese better. Let's go. All right, straight to the point. I know you have clicked this video and you want to learn Japanese, you want to speak Japanese better, and you want to have a better communication with the Japanese people, with the native speakers, right? Okay, so let's just dive into the tips which I'm about to give you guys to how to better speak Japanese, which are the methods which I personally used over the past 5 years to learn Japanese, and I'm just gonna give you an insight of how to speak Japanese in a better way, and what are the kind of materials, study materials, apps, or just some interesting methods that you can implement in yourself that you'd be able to speak Japanese really better. Okay, so who am I to give you guys an advice on how to learn Japanese better? I'm Navin. I live here in Japan. It's been like 5 years since I've been learning Japanese. It's been quite a long time, and I study and research about earthquakes here in Japan. And yes, I was studying this language since 5 years, and today I have N2 levels. I'm pretty much, I have the confidence of maintaining any kind of conversations in Japanese, and I'm able to understand what mostly the most like technical terminology also in Japanese. So of course I'm not saying like it's really good, but it's up to a level where I can really tell you guys how to improve your Japanese, how to be able to speak it in a better way, because the methods which I personally have used are a bit really different from what the usual path of a normal Japanese learner is. So for that specific reason, I'm creating this video. Okay, so let's just dive into the video and see those 5 tips which I have for you guys. Okay, so the first and foremost and most important tip that I have for you guys is to understand your motive of learning Japanese. And by motive, what I mean is understand why do you want to learn the language at the first place. So technically there are like 3 main motives which I have personally seen why people learn Japanese. First is for their job. They want to have a job here in Japan. They want to work in Japan, and they want to come here and be an employee at some firm or some company, and they want to do a job and carry on with the rest of life here in Japan. The second motive is, of course, which you can see behind me, is anime. And mostly anime fans, they are so into the culture, like they see so much of anime, they have consumed so much of anime that they want to be able to speak Japanese, see Japanese TV shows, see Japanese anime without any subtitles, and that's their motive, that's their motivations. And I, as a personally, I'm not 100% otaku, but yes, of course, as you can see behind me, I'm a 50%, 40% otaku. I also enjoy anime content, and it's pretty much the motivation that which I also personally had, but it is not the complete motivation. And then comes the third type of motivation, which is you want to learn Japanese as a hobby. I personally did that for myself too. Learning Japanese has always been really fun activity for me, because I have been doing it as a hobby. Of course, I knew that I'm gonna come here in Japan. Of course, I knew that learning Japanese had some benefits, but I knew that learning Japanese for that specific reason is not gonna make me really into the language. It's not really enough to get into the culture to understand those people better, because if you want to understand those people better, the mentality, the culture, you need to really have a really solid interest. Okay, so what I want you to do is recognize which of these 3 categories do you fall in, and mostly people are gonna fall in somewhat like between 2 categories. Maybe you want to come here in Japan and work, and you also love anime. Maybe you love anime and you want to do it just as a hobby and not as a work. And maybe you have 3, maybe you have any kind of combination of these 3. So you need to understand your motive, and you need to start working according to that specific path. And by that I mean is, if you want to just work here in Japan, you just need to have Jlpt. You just need to pass that specific exam. Focus on that exam only. You don't want to learn Japanese for anime, don't learn it. There is no need. So first of all, understand your motivation behind learning the language. Okay, once you got your motivation right, and you know, like, okay, if I want to just pass Jlpt, I just want Jlpt N1, what you need to do is just follow the certain set of rules that you need to pass any kind of exam, right? Like, you need to know what kind of pattern, what kind of questions are going to come, which kind of questions are most likely to come in exam, what kind of kanjis are really in that specific level, and you need to recognize the frequency and at which the specific kanjis come if you want to really pass Jlpt. But me, as personally, if you would ask me, like, is Jlpt enough to prove your Japanese proficiency? Totally no. It's totally not a really good way to judge someone's Japanese ability. First of all, why? It doesn't have any speaking part. And second of all, it only calculates your reading and listening skills, which I personally see is not really a good way to measure somebody's Japanese ability, because speaking is the most important part. Because of course, when you are here in Japan, you'll need to speak the language. You'll be able to read it, but the most important part is speaking, and that's what Jlpt lacks. Of course, if you are focusing on Jlpt, focus, but also focus on the speaking part. If you want to crack Jlpt, then there are tons of material out there on internet. There are tons of YouTube channels. If you want some links, I'll put down in the description with the senseis which I personally have really admired, and the persons who I feel are really good at just teaching about Jlpt. There are so many of YouTube channels, so many of links and sites and stuff. I'll just give it and link it all in the description below. You can check it out. But in this video, the main part is not about Jlpt, it's about speaking the Japanese language. Conversational Japanese, spoken Japanese. This video is not about Jlpt, so please, if you are interested in Jlpt, I can make a totally different video. It deserves a totally different video. But in today's video is just about how to speak the Japanese language better. The second tip which I want to give you guys is give more focus on writing. And by writing, I mean that you have to know each and every hiragana and katakana once you start learning Japanese language. And why learning hiragana and katakana first is really important is because Japanese is a phonetic language. Phonetic is in a sense like Japanese has consonant vowels, and there are some combinations of hiragana, and there's also some variations of such as like small tsu and dakuon, handakuon, and every kind of these small things which you really need to keep in mind when you are learning Japanese language. Priority should be given to learning hiragana and katakana before kanji. Start learning hiragana at first. Start learning hiragana and start writing each and every Japanese sentence that you learn in hiragana first. Read it, write it in hiragana, and just, keep it simple, keep it solid, and just learn like a baby, like how a baby is gonna learn the Japanese language as a native speaker. You have picture books online, you have really easy poems in Japanese that you can really try to see and try to get along. Once hiragana and katakana are done, then move on to kanji. And by kanji, you need to practice each and every single day. Each and every single day, you have to write the same kanji 10 times. Start by first, not with the kanjis, but with the radicals. These are called as bushu. And the bushus are really simple forms of kanji. These are basically hiragana and katakana derivatives, but these are comparatively really similar to hiragana, and you can just try to write each and every radical down. And kanjis are basically a group of these radicals, and once you know the radical, you can write each and every single kanji no matter how difficult it is. For instance, this kanji is really difficult to write, but I know each and every single radical of this kanji, so I can just try to remember, okay, this has some mizu radical, this has some karada radical. All radicals make up one kanji, so you need to start first reading radicals. The third tip which I want to give you guys is learning Japanese requires really an immense amount of concentration, immense amount of focus. And writing kanji also requires immense amount of focus. So for that specific reason, I'll tell you guys really good technique which I personally have used in improving my kanji writing is meditation. I know this really sounds unusual, but you know, guys, like any kind of language, if you want to learn, meditation is really, really important. And specifically Japanese, Chinese, and Korean or Thai, or these pictographic languages, like these languages which uses pictographs, the languages which have really, really difficult alphabets, you need to have a really, really solid concentration to, you know, learn each and every alphabet. So what I would suggest you guys is to do meditation for like 1 minute, 5 minutes. And I know it sounds really absurd, but of course, like learning any kind of language requires concentration. So basically, if you're gonna meditate for like what, 5 minutes, 1 minute daily, that's gonna increase your concentration logarithmically. So you need to start focusing and you need to start meditating. And once you have the focus, I have the fourth tip for you, is to be consistent as possible. And by consistency, I mean is like once you have the motivation, those, no, today I'm gonna start learning Japanese, and just, you know, learn the Japanese language in 1 day, 2 days. It's not possible. It's totally not possible to learn any single language within a month, 3 months. No, it would take time. You need to have patience. You need to do it every single day. You need to do it every single day, but guess what? You don't need to do it for a really long time. You have to give like just 30 minutes, 1 hour maybe. Just get some 30 minutes out of your day and just start learning the language. Once you start doing that, eventually it becomes your habit. And within a year, just calculate 30 minutes a day and calculate into hours how much 30 minutes is in a whole year. The number is staggering. So what you need to do is to be consistent. As we say here in Japan, like, 継続は力になり. Perseverance is the key. And consistency is the key. You need to do it on a really, really regular basis. That's it. And you're gonna improve really good. The fifth tip which I'm gonna give you guys is to use kanji drill apps. I personally use these apps a lot because these apps are not just for foreigners. These are for kindergarten students here in Japan. They also use these kinds of apps, and these kinds of apps, they allow you to write each and every single kanji many times. Really, really important to recognize on which part you're making a mistake while writing a specific kanji. And these apps are really, really great at recognizing that, and they tell you that, okay, you're making mistake here, and correct it. I'll put those all apps links in the description below. You have to check them out. And don't forget, like, these are really, really from basic to advanced level. So don't think like, okay, oh, I can't read any kanji, so I can't use those apps. No, there are much more simpler kanjis in all of these apps, and you can just, you know, try along to get along from the basics to the advanced level. And me personally, I still use them today for the advanced level kanjis, and believe me, they help a lot. Okay, so guys, I'll just wrap up this video, but you know, like, these are just some of the tips which I have showed you guys. If you want to know anything specific about learning Japanese, so let me know in the comment section below. If you find this video helpful, then just share it with other people who also are trying to learn Japanese language. Share it with your anime fans, share it with your family if they're interested in learning the language. And if you find this video helpful, just give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I'm posting stuff about Japan, so if you are really interested about it, just subscribe to my channel, and see you guys in the next video. Peace out and keep learning.